Every single morning, you perform a ritual that is as ancient as humanity itself, yet you likely never give it a second thought. But what if I told you that in those few seconds, you are literally discarding a goldmine of biological intelligence? Think about the last time you glanced down. But medical researchers view that fluid as a liquid diagnostic report, a real-time, internal weather map that tracks your hydration, your metabolic efficiency, and the subtle shifts in your organ health. It is quite literally the mirror of your body, reflecting secrets that your skin, your eyes, and your energy levels haven't even whispered yet. This content is for informational purposes only and does not replace professional medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for personal health concerns, as only a clinical assessment can truly map the landscape of your internal well-being. We live in an era where we track our heart rate with wristbands and our sleep cycles with bedside sensors, yet we ignore the most accessible, data-rich fluid our bodies produce. We often walk around in a state of chronic dehydration or metabolic imbalance, feeling the fatigue and the brain fog, yet we never stop to decode the very signpost our body has provided. Is your body trying to alert you to a looming issue, or is it simply asking for a glass of water? The discomfort of not knowing, of wondering whether a change in color is a trivial quirk of your diet or a genuine red flag for your kidneys, is a burden we don't need to carry. When you understand the spectrum, from the pale straw of peak hydration to the deeper, amber tones that signal a physiological cry for help, you transition from a passive observer of your health to an active participant. We are about to strip away the mystery. By the end of this video, you will never look at that porcelain bowl the same way again. Let's begin this journey by unraveling the first layer of this biological mystery, the spectrum of hydration, and see what your body has been trying to tell you all along. To decode the language of your internal chemistry, we must first descend into the microscopic architecture of the kidneys, where blood is continuously filtered into a liquid narrative of your physiological state. This intricate process involves millions of nephrons acting as sophisticated sieves, selectively reclaiming water and vital electrolytes while sequestering metabolic waste products for excretion. At the heart of this transformation is urochrome, a byproduct of the natural breakdown of aged red blood cells. As these cells reach the end of their life cycle, hemoglobin is recycled, leaving behind this distinct yellow pigment that defines the hue of our waste. When you are optimally hydrated, the kidneys maintain a high volume of water in the bladder, effectively diluting the urochrome and resulting in a pale, straw-like appearance. Conversely, when fluid intake drops, the body initiates a conservation strategy. The kidneys reabsorb more water back into the bloodstream to sustain blood pressure and organ function, leaving a higher concentration of urochrome in the remaining fluid. Research suggests that this color shift serves as a real-time metabolic feedback loop, reflecting the delicate balance between systemic intake and output. Studies indicate that even minor deviations in your water consumption can trigger an immediate, measurable change in the saturation of this pigment. Think of your bladder as a biological barometer, a precise instrument tuned to the ebb and flow of your daily habits. If the liquid appears dark or amber, it is not merely a sign of dehydration, but a visual signal that your kidneys are working overtime to preserve precious fluid reserves. By observing these gradients, you are essentially reading a live report on how efficiently your body is processing its internal environment. This is not just waste, it is a refined diagnostic tool that you carry with you every single day. Yet, there are times when this liquid canvas deviates from the familiar yellow spectrum entirely, shifting into unexpected shades that demand a closer look. What happens when the colors change to something far more startling, and what does that reveal about your hidden health? To decode the language of your internal chemistry, we must first descend into the microscopic architecture of the kidneys, where blood is continuously filtered into a liquid narrative of your physiological state. The journey begins with the simple chemistry of hydration, where the concentration of urochrome pigments fluctuates based on your fluid intake. When you drink water, these pigments dilute into a pale, straw-like hue, but as dehydration sets in, the liquid turns into a concentrated, amber-toned warning sign. Beyond basic water balance, your plate acts as a primary color palette for your body's output. Consuming high volumes of beets or blackberries can cast a surprising, reddish tint that often triggers unnecessary panic. Research suggests that the pigments within these natural foods pass through the kidneys, temporarily staining your waste in vibrant, harmless ways. Vitamins and supplements exert an even more dramatic influence on this internal spectrum. Riboflavin, or vitamin B2, is notorious for transforming a standard morning flow into a startling, neon yellow that glows with chemical intensity. Studies indicate that because the body cannot store excess water-soluble vitamins, it must efficiently flush the surplus, effectively dyeing the stream. Medications further complicate this visual landscape. Certain antibiotics, such as rifampin, can impart a distinct orange hue, while specific urinary analgesics are known to dye the fluid a deep, vivid blue or green. Identifying who faces the highest risk for concerning variations requires a look at lifestyle and pre-existing conditions. Those who push their physical limits through intense endurance training are particularly susceptible, as heavy exertion often leads to rapid dehydration and muscle breakdown. Individuals on complex medication regimens, specifically those managing chronic inflammation or neurological conditions, frequently experience shifts that mirror their treatment paths. Furthermore, those who ignore the subtle cues of thirst or those with restricted diets may see more frequent fluctuations that deviate from the standard yellow baseline. While many of these visual anomalies are transient, persistent changes that defy simple dietary explanations should be treated as a silent signal from your internal systems. When the neon fades and the amber clears, the question remains, what happens when the color is not a result of what you ate, but a sign of something deeper waiting to be discovered? Sometimes, the body stops whispering and begins to shout. While most shifts in hue are fleeting, there are specific chromatic warnings that demand your immediate, undivided attention. This intense saturation can be a distress flare from your liver, signaling that bilirubin, a substance usually processed by the organ, is leaking into your bloodstream and exiting through your kidneys. If your skin or the whites of your eyes share this yellowed tint, the urgency escalates from a suggestion to a mandate. While this can occasionally stem from minor infections, it often points to a significant buildup of pus, bacteria, or high levels of phosphates that require clinical intervention. It is a visual disruption that defies the clarity of health, serving as a biological red light. Then, there is the most visceral warning of all, blood red or rust-colored urine. It may be the silent footprint of a kidney stone, an infection, or a growth that necessitates a diagnostic review. If you experience these shifts alongside sharp abdominal pain, a persistent fever, or an inability to empty your bladder, do not wait for the symptoms to subside on their own. When your body deviates from its standard baseline in such dramatic fashion, your role is to act as the primary witness to your own physiology. You are the custodian of these metrics, and your observation is the bridge between a minor imbalance and a manageable recovery. This content is for informational purposes only. Your health is a lifelong conversation, not a one-time checkup. By staying attuned to these subtle, and sometimes stark, shifts, you are taking the most vital step in protecting your future. Take care of yourself, and stay observant.